And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Viking in the Jungle episode. Today we are
in the Upper Riverside Jungle Community, visiting our latest acquired land with a bunch of friends. We are going to step into Alejandra's estate. We're going to start dreaming up of permaculture design. Now, what is permaculture? We'll get into that a bit later.
Ali,
Yes.
you got your first acquired gate.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I do. It's a magical gate.
This is
Another dimension of love and land.
apparently we still have to cut it.
It's fine. We have to go
How
in
do you
We
use this gate? I mean,
there.
this is great. This part's great.
That is the great part.
Yeah, this is this works.
So let's go see the other shit.
It's a false gate.
So basically what's happening is that we asked our caretaker to make a gate here, and he kind of made a gate here, but he forgot to cut the wire apparently, so we still cannot enter. I'm trying to ask this guy why it's not being cut.
Mira, aquí le pedimos hacer una puerta y parece que se le olvidó abrir.
I'm Eric, and this
It's a mango!
is the delicious jungle. So we just arrived to the land and we can see some very interesting stuff. Ben, what can we see?
Well, we can see a lot of the biomass, aka weeds, have been chopped and dropped and laid down on the surface of the soil, which, as you may remember from the mulching episode, that's how you build up topsoil. So we've already started regenerating the soil. This land, as soon as it became ours, became an organic farm. So for the next couple months, we're gonna keep letting the weeds grow and chopping them and letting them decompose until we feel that the soil is 100% clean. And as you can tell, the breadfruits are bigger. There's probably like 100 breadfruits right now to pick off that tree alone. And you've got two massive. I can hear Papito working away. Should we go say hi?
Absolutely. And so I'm super stoked about this because we asked Papito to do exactly what he's done, and the amount of work that he's done looks like a lot. So I'm happy that we now got Papito already working on the land. And Ben, I see a gate. I see a gate.
Woo! It's official.
Let's get it going.
Yo, you gotta cross the gate.
Previously, this was just a fence because there were all kinds of cows here on the land. Cows are gone. So one of the first things that I asked Papito is to build a gate. Well, would you look at that?
Swap right here. Show us
Welcome
to the jungle forest.
to the land of adventure.
Oh, and the first thing I see right on the ground here, the first ground score, tomatoes.
But not only that.
There's a breadfruit.
Fruits.
Oh my God. What is a breadfruit, Eric?
It's a potato that grows on trees.
What are you
Whoa.
talking about?
Are you kidding me? You can make all kinds of things from these.
French fries. Just be careful, man.
Why?
They might taste a little bitter because the land is still recovering from the chemical use.
Oh, so I can't eat this?
You can, because you grew up on eating
Should I?
conventional shit.
I
so-
grew up on eating pesticides.
So yeah, so it's fine. It's all right.
It's all right.
all
But
right.
my brain can't taste the difference between pesticides or not. So
Well,
we'll see.
this one has been clean for at least half a year, so it's all good. You know what happens if you don't pick them? They plant themselves in the ground, and you have more tomatoes. So
Well, that's one of the things that I find fascinating about all of this. We've actually been taught that like throwing away food is super wasteful. Well, it's only wasteful if you don't put it back into the earth.
right, if you throw
So
your
here,
scraps,
if your fruit gets bad or you forget to pick something, it just goes back into the ground and it's extra nutrients.
absolutely. Look at this breadfruit on the ground. Just step on it if you don't mind. Just give us a nice squash. Yes.
Oh.
Press it. Squash it. Come on, man. Press it all the way down. What, are you afraid to get your shoe?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I want to get you to get it nice and squishy. Now you're feeding all that potassium back into the soil. Well done, well done.
Right here is an avocado tree, and I did not even know that I had avocado trees on my land. But now I see an avocado tree there, which was full of avocados the last time I came here. Now it's still full with avocados, and they're growing and growing, and they're getting bigger and bigger. This one is avocado, and I believe a little bit over there is another avocado, so it's very, very exciting to me. Breadfruit, avocados, cherries, that's all something that's already there. Imagine what's gonna be here in a year from now when we actually start planting everything. Sí, ¡huepa! ¿Cómo te da?
Bien, bien.
Perfecto.
Sí.
¿Te acuerdas? Mira cuánto hay.
Hay mucho.
Mira, todos los plátanos en el suelo yo los quiero. Si tú me ayudas a llevarlos para la casa, yo me los llevo todos. Para hacer harina.
En un burro lo lleva.
So as you can see, this whole area has been chopped and dropped by Papito, and he's spreading the biomass around. He actually knows a lot what he's doing. For now, he's gonna keep chopping and dropping this area at a smooth rhythm, and John Tomato wants him to clear some stuff in the bamboos, and that's it. Cool. We're now in Orlandito's food forest. As it sounds like, it's a forest that grows food. Literally everywhere you look, there's avocados, breadfruits, plantain, which are like bananas that you can cook. And let's see if this avocado is any good. It looks okay. It's okay. It's maybe not the best. I'm gonna chuck it and feed it back to the soil. So, one of the most stable ecosystems that we all know of is a forest. No one's watering a forest. Nobody's building up the soil. Nobody's mixing different chemicals and spraying it to make a soil thrive or make the forest thrive. And so what we try to do is to emulate the forest, but with edible plants that humans want to eat. So imagine if you walked into a forest and every single tree was something you can eat, you know? And imagine we would pass these down generation to generation. So you're born into it. Unfortunately, we've been cut off from a lot of that heritage, which is how humanity came to be where it is today. You know, we stand on the shoulders of agriculture for our culture. Without learning how to take care of the land, it's possible that settlements wouldn't have even happened. We would have just kept being nomadic cultures. So agriculture is integral to human culture, and unfortunately we've been disconnected to the point where most people have never eaten something they've planted. In high school or in school, we all did that experiment where we plant a bean, but we never got to harvest the bean and cook it. We just got to sprout, which is only the beginning. And it's a very important part, you know, sticking seeds in the ground and watching them grow and learning from the process. And over time, being able to take care of as many different plants as possible. So our goal here is to expand this food forest so that there could be a whole lot more food growing, and not only food, the shade that the trees provide keep the soil cool. It feeds the fungi and the earthworms, and it's part of the whole balance that makes life possible. They say that humanity exists because it rains and there's topsoil. Otherwise, nothing would be here as much as we know it.
Another orange tree. I was just passing by this tree and it scratched me on my arm. And then I was like, wait a minute, scratches, looks a little bit like citrus. And then I smelled it. Oh, this smells amazing. And then I saw this is another orange tree that is right on the edge of my land. All right, so we're now back on the grassland, and there's something very important. The mission of today is going to be to find the zone 1 of my land.
Let's talk about zones, Eric.
Zones.
Bring it in, bring it in.
Dime.
All right, so a nice way of organizing land is in different zones. And the land that we call zone 0 is actually not land itself, it's you. You're the 0 point, you're the start of it all. Zone 1 is where zone 0 lives, the house. So picking your house is what we're gonna try to decide, because once you know where you're gonna live, then we can design the different zones around that. So now we're gonna go through the 5 different permaculture zones. Zone 1 is your house. It's where zone 0 lives. Zone 2 is your immediate garden, the garden that you need to attend to daily. It makes no sense to plant something that requires your daily maintenance 3 miles away. You're gonna lose so much energy to get there. So it's much smarter to design the things that need your most attention close to where you spend the most time, which is at home. Or in generally, most people spend most time at home. Then zone 3 is crops that require, let's say, a weekly maintenance. You know, you don't need to have it so close to the house. We're talking about grains. We're talking about starches like potatoes. You know, you don't need to look at them every day to know that they're growing. You just basically plant them, and when it's harvest time, you pull them out. That's especially the case with yucca or cassava. Now, zone 4 is where you plant fruit trees or hardwood trees. It's your tree layer of your food forest. And then zone 5 is what you give back to nature. And giving land back to nature, like, what benefit could that bring? Well, it actually adds all of the native plants, all of the pollinators. It allows all of the biodiversity of the area to come back, at least on a small level. And that creates a buffer where it actually lowers the amount of disease that's on the land, like different pests, for example. The fact that there's a wild tree, let's say, attracts a certain bird, and then that bird eats all the bugs off your plants. So it's really important to give back to nature. In our case, everything along the river is a zone 5, because by law, you're not allowed to clear anything within the first 30 feet of the river. So you're gonna notice everything along the river's edge is wild, a zone 5. And it's encouraged to dedicate more of your land to zone 5. So we're gonna also give room to nature, but today we are picking where our zone 1 is, because based on that, we'll be able to think about all the rest. Now, in our case, something else to consider is the fact that there's a common road that all of us will be using. And so it makes most sense to build your house close to the road. So, but maybe you're gonna wanna have your house further away, and then you're gonna have to design it in a way you can get to it easily, or it's just part of your design to park your car in the entrance and walk over to your house. So lots of things to consider. Here we go.
So Ben, quick question. I already had the feeling that I wanted to have my land or my house closer to the edge, because I wanted to have, like, I had like a gazebo in mind, and I had a little casita in mind, and then a bigger house there in mind. And I actually was planning on making this all food forest, basically.
So access is the #1 consideration. Access is everything. How are you gonna access your site? How are you gonna bring materials to your site? You already have some experience with Jonathan's build, where you saw how access is definitely a main consideration. So part of a good design is smart access. And it could be that it makes more sense to accommodate for any vehicles here.
Yeah.
Not have any more roads on the land, maybe just paths.
Yeah.
And then the path takes you to your house.
Exactly.
And then that's just how your design is. So if your heart already feels that zone 1's over there,
Yeah.
there's no time to waste.
It definitely does, 100%. And the reason why is because the view there is better. The grass here is going down, the land is going down here, and that gives us, and there it's the highest face.
But
the
let me warn you now. You're gonna have to
It's
walk.
gonna suck.
You're gonna have to walk all the way to your house. You know, you're gonna have to walk at least like 5 minutes to
It's
get
not
there.
5 minutes.
All right,
Okay, but it is maybe a little bit longer than I expected it to be. Okay, this is a very good point that I did not consider.
So this is the edge you wanted to build your deck on, right?
Yeah, but here on the corner, I would love to have the A-frame casita. So the first cabin that I'm going to build here could be here, and I would be waking up here every single day that I'm working here, and I think that would be very cool, and that would eventually become the guest house.
So at John's place, the casita is, you walk to it, you don't drive to it. It's the same thing here.
Exactly. Yeah,
No
that's
big
true.
deal.
I wanted to make a gazebo, which is basically a deck with a roof on top. And I was thinking on doing that here, maybe on poles out there, or maybe a little bit here to the back.
My recommendation is to use as little of your flat as possible, extend as much as you can into your drop,
Okay.
because this is prime land for planting.
Yeah. So what I was thinking then is having a deck over here that has a roof on top, so that you have something to start with. You have a base where you can
Camp out.
where you can camp out, where you can also put your materials if you start building some of the materials, and you can just put a tent on there and you're done.
All right, so Eric, what I would like you to do is to take some sticks and mark where you want this to be, because we're not only dreaming over here, we're doing.
We're doing. We be doing out here.
What's that Viking doing?
That's how winning is done.
Yeah!
So
That ain't gonna work.
that ain't gonna work. But I think it makes sense. A little bit more over here, I think. So from here to somewhere over here.
Boy, that looks screwed up.
So it is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5, 4 meters. The idea is to have the deck over
Extend.
there. And Benjamin had a great idea, and that is that, let's say, the deck would be here. Deck would be here with my hands, peeps. And then I could have a little staircase going down, so that I have a good walk to my forest. The gate is over there. That works perfectly. You can actually walk around it, or you can walk through it. I think that would be a beautiful idea.
Amazing. So we got our first feature.
Wepa! Yeah, well, somewhere in this cow dump is gonna be.
This is first house marking. Historic.
The corner. So
You
the
guys
idea
get to witness when it was still a dream.
So the idea is to have a deck here, build it up a little bit as high as here, and then on top of that have an A-frame casita, so that can be the guest house.
And your first house.
And my first house, yeah. Now that I actually marked it like this sucker here, it really helps visualizing everything that's happening. Now I can see there's going to be the deck, here's going to be the A-frame. That's pretty cool. So the idea for me was to have the house here, and there's already a line of bush here, and it could be a perfect separation.
What kind of house are you thinking about?
Kind of the same as what John has in connection to what Steven has.
So rectangular.
Rectangular with a deck and 10 meters by, yeah, well, maybe 10 meters. But what I want to do is make the one thing that I absolutely know is that the area of inside living space is going to be like 1/3 of the entire floor plan. I really want to make sure that most of the living space is on the deck. So the deck is going to be the living room, basically. That's the idea that I have. And so I would want to have that over here, and then have right here kind of a centerpiece of paths that are going on. So that one path is going to the deck, one path is going to the A-frame house, and one path is going all the way over there. So
Now that you know that this is where you want to build your house, while you're still contemplating the design, maybe you can kind of get to an idea of how big you want that space to be, so we can mark it out in our design plan, and that way we know that's a future zone 1, and we can get started with designing all the rest of the zones, which I'm really excited about.
Wepa. we're now walking back from that idea, and it is a lot of walking. So I have a lot of thinking to do if I actually want to be doing that, because I do know that repetitive things like that are really going to become annoying. So,
well, the important part is that you're gonna have access to this point, so it could be a big sacrifice, but you could make your path here wide enough to drive through, and it's a little less trees, but we can plant around the path anyway, so it's gonna be fine.
Anyway, it's really good to be doing this so that I have an idea. So yeah, this is Permaculture
Zone 1.
Zone 1. Thank you very much for watching Viking in the Jungle. See you later.